Sure how many folks we were going to get today because I did schedule this meeting, didn't give everybody a whole lot of notice, but since the project actually formally began on August 1st, and there is a fair amount of foundational stuff that we need to get in place, I thought, short informational session, I'm going to be recording it, let's just see if we can't get this underway. So welcome everyone, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us for the iSmart IMLS project kickoff meeting. So this was one of those submit it and forget it projects. So we were so pleased when we got the news that IMLS had funded this project, and it's so great that so many of you could join us on such short notice. I sent everybody some overview materials. I hope you had a chance to look at that and it kind of jogged your memory and helped you remember why exactly you're here. So, but I hope all will be revealed within the next hour. So we have a pretty short agenda today. The goal of this meeting is just to give everyone a sense of what the project is about overall and who is involved. And of course, we also want to hear any questions or additional thoughts that you might have at this juncture. So the first thing I'm going to do is welcome and introductions. I'm going to review a little bit about the project and the timeline, and then we'll move to questions. And I'm going to be monitoring the chat as well as I can during this, but I also have my co-PIs, Faye Jones and Aaron Osgavin, on as well. And so hopefully we can all be kind of monitoring the chat. And so I want to start just by introducing the principal investigator team. I think everyone has met me, Marcia, either in person or through crazy cold call emails that you all were really kind to reply to, and I appreciate that. I'm on the faculty at the Florida State University College of Communication and Information, where I also have the research leadership role as well. And so Faye and Aaron, would you like to say a few words?
Hi, everyone. I am Faye Jones from the College of Communication and Information. I work very closely with Marcia at the Institute as a faculty researcher, and also for the dean doing lots of institutional research and other things that come our way. So I'm very, very proud to be a part of this project. Aaron?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm also so excited to kick off this project. I'm an associate professor of civil and environmental engineering at the FAMU FSU College of Engineering, and also the director of Resilient Infrastructure at Disaster Response Center. I am a roadway guy. Anything related to transportation network, transportation, emergency evacuation is kind of my domain. Again, I'm very excited to be a part of this project. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Aaron and Faye. One of the aspects of the projects that the reviewers really liked was the broad range of partners and advisors that we've engaged. So I couldn't agree more, and we were really thrilled when we took a step back and looked at that list. And so the difference is that partners will support the project with advice, yes, but also work with us directly on the research, on outreach, and on dissemination. And so I was wondering if each of you would briefly introduce yourself. And I have to say that I am thinking that Mimi, you're going to have to go it alone in the first, because Robin Shader was unable to be here, and Rita also had a conflict. So if we could hear from Mimi, just briefly say, who you are, where you're from, what you do, and then I'm going to hand it over to Carol, and then on down the list. So take it away, Mimi. Well, I think Mimi may just be listening in. She's our partner from the Gulf County Library System, and we can return to her. She may have just stepped away for a minute. Carol DeMont?
Yes. Hi, I'm Carol from Panhandle Library Access Network. I'm the assistant director. PLAN is a multi-type library cooperative. We have members of all different types: public, academic, K-12, and special. And we cover the 16 counties of the Panhandle.
Great. Let's see. I don't think anybody from PLA. Oh, no, Scott. I'm sorry, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here. I'm Scott Allen. I'm a Deputy Director at the Public Library Association. I think most of you probably know PLA is a division of the American Library Association. We have about 10,000 members, but really work with all the public libraries across the country, and will help, especially in the dissemination piece. I think we have some great national platforms to help get the word out, but happy to be here and help in any way we can.
Thanks, Scott. I'm really glad you're here, and thanks for making it on short notice again. So the Florida Division of Library and Information Services, otherwise known as the State Library of Florida, Amy Johnson is our state librarian, and Amy was unable to be here today. And I don't see in the lineup anybody who is standing in for Amy. So the great thing about Amy is she is a member of COSLA, which is the next group on the list here. And we do have Stacy Aldrich with us. So Stacy.
How are you?
Hi, great. Great to
Sorry,
see
just jumped in.
So Stacy, are you the state librarian of Hawaii? Am I reading that correctly? That's great. Wow. And so could you tell us briefly what COSLA stands for so people can get an idea?
Sure. COSLA is the Chief Officers of State Library Agencies. I'm currently the president of COSLA. Yeah, so it's an organization of all the state librarians, and we work to advocate for resources and development of sharing of projects statewide to better libraries across the country. So.
Great. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate that. Oh, you're fine. And so some of you are on this list twice, as you'll notice. Scott is on this list twice, and Amy's on this list twice. Stacy's on this list twice. And that's because in addition to having partners, we also have advisors that reflect the truly interdisciplinary and multifaceted nature of disaster response. And so advisors will help us bridge knowledge gaps and build understanding in their areas of expertise. If you'd like to reintroduce yourself, you're certainly welcome to, but we can also just pick up with David.
Hi, I'm David Berlan. I'm with the Askew School of Public Administration and Policy. I'm a nonprofit management expert, and I've been doing some research on disaster philanthropy, particularly sort of the regional response to Hurricane Michael.
Great. Great. I'm actually glad to hear you say all of that in one piece, David. That helps because I know so many different things about you, and I like putting it all together. I don't think Ben was able to be with us, but he is the 911 coordinator for Gulf, Calhoun, and Franklin counties out in the Panhandle. As I mentioned earlier, Amy was not able to be here, and Jared Moskowitz, actually, you may see on the news. He pops up there, but he is the State of Florida EOC director. And now that we have Mimi, Mimi, I was wondering if you might be willing to say a couple words about who you are and the Gulf County Libraries.
Thanks. Believe it or not, this is my first Zoom meeting, so I had to figure out the whole audio. Can everybody hear me okay? Is there feedback or?
You're doing great.
Okay, great. My name is Mimi Minnick. I've been Gulf County coordinator for the libraries, the two library branches in Gulf County, one in Port St. Joe and one in Weewha-Hitchcock since just November. I've got about 25 years of library and archives experience before I got here to Gulf County. I used to live in Fairfax County, Virginia, and Washington, D.C., where I worked for a large public library system in Fairfax and at the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. So I was only here for a few short months before everything closed down with coronavirus, and I've spent the last 4 months as the only staff member working in Gulf County. Everybody else is home on administrative leave, so I'm kind of the Lone Ranger here, providing curbside pickup and just answering phones and
Wow, what a contrast to Fairfax.
For sure.
Trial
Yeah.
by fire, welcome.
Thanks.
And then Scott, I'm gonna send it on to you. I know Scott's here, I saw him.
I'm here, sorry. Hi, I'm Scott Pickett. I'm an associate professor at the FSU College of Medicine at the Center for Translational Behavioral Science. And I'm a clinical psychologist, and I primarily study psychological trauma and risk and resiliency factors for trauma. And a lot of my current work is around some of the outcomes of Hurricane Michael. And I've been working with Marcia and Faye on the implementation of a peer-to-peer intervention for resiliency development in those affected by the hurricane.
So if anybody's heard about solar, Scott is your man when it comes to solar. So if you've not heard of it now, you will. Trust me. Brooke Powell was not able to be here with us today, but she's the Bay County Chief Administrative Officer and knows a lot about the county disaster response. And so, Feely, now tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Hello, my name is Feely Tu Kiefner. I am an associate professor with the School of Information Science at University of South Carolina. I am here and I feel very honored. I also have had some experience to chase the disaster, and I got involved in 3 disasters information study since 2015. It's just because we got hit by a huge flooding in Columbia, South Carolina. That's the USC is located. And then the next year, South Carolina got hit by Hurricane Matthew. So, and I chased another one. In 2018, we studied the hurricane Harvey hit Houston Public Library. So we're still working on some of the data. So I really feel honored to be here, and I am looking forward to learn more from you all, and you are the experts. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, as you know, notice in librarian fashion, I put everybody's names in alphabetical order. So if he were here, David Zierden would be the last on the list, but he wasn't able to join us today. He's the state climatologist from Florida. So I feel like one of the really interesting things we have going on this advisory board is there are people who would not normally cross paths with one another who are going to get to meet. For example, state librarians and state climatologists don't get a chance to hang out all that much. So I'm really glad that we could bring these people together. And before we move on to our external evaluator, I wanted to point out that we have 3 very important research assistants with us who work with Aaron and work with me and Faye. We have Alison Carrere, we have who is working at the College of Engineering, the FAMU FSU College of Engineering. We have Jeremy Katz, who's working with Faye and I at the College of Communication and Information. And we have Mayar Garbanzadeh, who is at also at the FAMU FSU College of Engineering. And you know, you'll probably be hearing from these guys or meeting them in some way, but I just wanted to make sure I introduced them before we moved on. But finally, and this is last but not least, key player in every project is, of course, your external evaluator. And we're so pleased to have Sharon Strover in this role because we also see her as providing really critical input on our research too. Sharon has expertise in rural community resiliency and has done really groundbreaking work in the areas of broadband and disaster response. And we're working with her right now on another project. So Sharon, do you have a few words that you'd like to add?
Sure. Very happy to be here. And I look forward to connecting with a lot of you. during the course of this research. I've done a lot of evaluation work over my career in the context of an external evaluator, also in the context of directing the Institute here on Technology and Information Policy. I'm in the Moody College of Communications here, and I am especially attuned to the impact of technologies. My basic training is sociological in nature, and I'm very interested in this particular project in as much as it will involve and invoke a lot of the organizational systems that are called upon to respond to disasters. So looking forward to it.
Thank you. Thank you. This is really exciting to have this particular lineup of people. I don't think that we really could have put together a better group of people. And I have to tell you, the reviewers agreed. So everybody's very grateful that you're here. And so now let's kind of jump into what's going on in the project. And so we have 3 research questions. As you can see here, I've sort of laid them out on this slide. The first question, and I'm not going to read them to you, but it kind of centers on the nature of existing policies and investigating what those are, because not everybody has one, and of the ones that exist, not all of them are up to date or complete. So getting a kind of our sense around that. And research question 2 is really about identifying who the key players are. And so you'll notice that there are a range of people from a range of different levels of government and disciplinary areas. So really just needing lots of different eyes and understanding who the key players are. And then research question 3 is really, the essence of it is about targeting services to improve community response, but also in such a way that it can be usable by other communities elsewhere. And so you'll see there are a couple of acronyms on this slide. And so just before we go further, DPRR stands for Disaster Preparedness, Response and Recovery, and COOP stands for Continuity of Operations. And so DPRRs are something that communities have, but also individual library systems and even library branches have. And COOPs are something that tend to exist at the municipal level. And so one of the things that we're trying to reflect in this graphic that's in the middle is that we understand that library policies and actions don't exist in a vacuum. Libraries are part of larger ecosystems that their needs influence, but that also the needs of or the views and the actions of higher level organizations also inform what happens at the micro level. So we're looking at the micro level, the meso level, or the macro level, the meso level, and the micro level, understanding that there's interplay between all 3 of those levels. And we have a theoretical and ethical orientation in this project. And I think anybody who does research that is about capturing human experience, the lived experience, particularly around a traumatic event, it's very important to make sure that you bring that heart to everything that you do. And so the kind of theoretical perspective that we're looking for is centered on something called survivor-led response. And so that means that what we're trying to do and what we're trying to be attentive to in this project are ideas around knowledge creation, relationship building, improving plans for building back better, and we're doing that through skill building and workshops, and we're creating a workbook for continuous learning. So this orientation that we bring to the project is going to be operationalized through these 5 items that are bulleted out on the left. And so we just understand that librarians and community leaders are survivors of the disaster themselves, and we want to help them work together effectively to build back better. And also as researchers, we are also participants in the disasters as well, whether we like it or not, because we're co-located. So this is really the meat slide where I will be tossing it over a little bit to Faye and Aaron. So we're gathering data to build knowledge, and we're also building capacity through tailored policy revision, workshops, creating a workbook, the things I mentioned on the previous slide, for public librarians, but also for the people with whom they work in the communities. And so right now we're in what we call phase 0. That's the planning phase. And it's essentially the startup phase where everybody is getting acquainted, we're getting oriented, we're getting our work. Oh, my things seem to be wandering around the slide a little bit there. And so we're doing work when it comes to the data collection, which is going to begin in phase 1. We have an inductive phase in which we're going to be doing a large-scale survey in Florida and collecting as many DPRRs and COOPs as possible. So we're going to ask people to submit their plans if they have them, and be collecting COOPs from communities and analyzing them as well. And then that's in phase 1. And we're also going to begin our work with our 3 partner library systems in Gulf, Calhoun, and Bay counties. So while we're looking sort of at that macro scale, we're also going to be working at the micro scale. And then we'll analyze these plans that we collect, looking for commonalities and contrasts and elements of that survival-led response graphic, which I showed you on the previous slide. And there's also going to be some GIS analyses in this phase. And for this, I'm going to turn it over to Aaron. Do you want to talk about the GIS analysis piece?
Yes, absolutely, Marcia. So one very powerful tool that can be used by agencies is the geographical information systems. And I'm pretty sure many of you kind of use these Google Maps or different kind of maps that you may have in your on your computers and phones. So we're gonna go into hopefully deeper with the GIS analysis, where we are hoping to have librarians equipped with a basic GIS knowledge, where they will know about facilities, where they're located, and they will know about populations, different population segments like older adults, people with different ethnic races, people with different ages, and so on. And then they will be able to conduct basic level GIS analysis, where they can find the time required from one location to go to the closest library, for example. So these are very basic analysis that actually can benefit the libraries and librarians a lot. Many state agencies and city agencies, they already have a GIS specialist to do this kind of stuff. They hire people to do this kind of stuff. But we really believe the training, and I guess we can discuss, mention it as of now a little bit, the training that we will provide to the librarians, the basic GIS training, will help them achieve some, some analysis that they will need during a disaster situation like a hurricane. Marcia, would that be okay for now as an introduction?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just giving folks a sense of how GIS really functions in the larger design. It's kind of moving over to the deductive side of things, where we're going to be also doing analyses of the plan. And so, Faye, did you want to take phase 2?
Sure. So basically in phase 2, after we've, conducted the analyses, the planning, and also the GIS initial analysis, we're going to be looking at focus groups and conducting focus groups, also looking at revisions to the DPRR and conducting workshops in the local area, but also in different small and rural libraries across the state, so that we can get a better understanding of those locations as well, not just the Panhandle area, but other areas, of course, throughout the state of Florida. So we're excited to do that. And Marcia, did you want to go with phase 3?
Sure. So I wanted to point out that each one of the phases, we're going to be anchoring them with workshops, because one of the things we want to do is build capacity. And so we are using these workshops as opportunities for the participants to learn more about the activities we're engaging in the research process and how they can use them in their libraries. So for example, we are going to be doing GIS workshops for public librarians, and we're going to be doing DPRR revision workshops. So everything that we're doing, we're going to be trying to give back. And then in phase 3, we're going to culminate the research in model plans and processes for how to develop an effective DPRR and how to work with community stakeholders. And so this is going to culminate in an interactive workbook that will be available online and will be updated as time goes on. So it's a pretty ambitious set of deliverables, but we really feel as though collecting data, that's not enough. We really need to work hand in hand with folks to affect real change. So, well, Faye, Aaron, do you feel like we kind of covered it? Is that?
Yeah, I would just add that the beauty of this is that we're using both deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning, right? So we're taking information top down, right? Distilling information from current policy, GIS information from the US Census, et cetera, that Aaron would pull, but also inductively, right? From our librarians through surveys and workshops and the focus groups. So that's where kind of everything meets in the middle, right? Where we get what we know and information that's already out there, but also getting ground level information coming up. And so then we're really excited about what kind of rich data that will produce.
So
I second that. Yeah.
And we're hoping that everything manages to stick to schedule. I think it will. It's going to be very interesting to reimagine this project in the age of COVID. So there will be some flexibility and fleetness that is going to be required, agility, I guess you would say. So we will certainly keep you updated on that. And so I know that that was a lot of material in a short time, like half an hour. We went a lot faster than I expected, but that's okay. That rarely happens. I just, at this point, wanted to open up to any of you for any questions about the project that I may not have answered in the presentation, or any other thoughts that you might want to share.
Do you want to just give us a brief overview of your timeline? I'm not sure I know that, if maybe I missed it before.
Sure. So this is a 3-year project, and let me see if I can just, I can actually go right on over to the timeline here. So let me just do a little bit of adjusting and you will be able to see it. Okay. Let's see. So I shared with everybody, and if you didn't receive this, let me know, our timeline. And so our schedule of completion, as you can see, and you're seeing the timeline now, correct, everybody?
Yes.
Okay, great. Goes through July of 2023. And so we have phase 1 here, phase 0 here in green. And so we're going to start working on collecting those plans, getting that survey launched. That's going to be taking place in the between now and basically the end of the academic year, or the end of May, and then be analyzing that survey. And then in year 2, really we're going to be focusing on the focus groups in which we're going to be debriefing the survey results and analyzing that focus group data. And one of the things that, of course, if this were in Excel, we could lock the cells and I wouldn't have to keep scrolling up to keep you oriented time-wise. But then in year 3, also during that time, we're going to be working very closely with our partners. So for example, I think it was Mimi who asked the question, where we will be looking to engage with you around the beginning of 2021. We will be in touch and set up the times to come and meet with you. We'll probably be in touch to collect your any DPRR you might have and just talk with you beforehand. But our formal work where we're going to be able to spend a lot of time with you guys and do the GIS work and things like that is really going to take place right around the beginning of the year. And you can see this modification of DPRR work kind of extends through the rest of the project. And then the GIS piece, Erin's going to be working on now and really doing a big push to get a lot of the initial work and analysis with the GIS done in the next 12 months or less. Actually, it looks more like the next 7 months. And then we'll be working on creating the learning modules in the workshops. And then it's a lot of dissemination. So, does that answer your question?
It does, beautifully,
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. We also, since we sent you more information than you probably want, in that handout was also a table of the project goals mapped to activities and deliverables, just so you have a sense of what we're going to be doing and what we are looking for as output of those activities. That was a great question. Go back to my slide here. Any other thoughts or questions while I'm rearranging?
Marsha, this is Fei Li, and I just have a quick question. Will you avoid traveling completely?
Well, actually, at this point, it's not so much avoid as allowed. So that is something that we're really having to negotiate. I know that we could apply for specific exemption to the travel restrictions that are in place for researchers right now at Florida State. But that, it depends on what's safe for the communities we're working in, as well as what's safe for us. So I think my hope is that at some point during this project, we're going to be able to do some face-to-face work and do some in-person conference presentations. But I think we, for now, can't expect that that's 100% going to happen.
I just wanted to add that the good thing is we built in the cushion of, well, we didn't do this on purpose. It just so happened to, fall this way, but we have the surveys and mostly collecting, survey materials and a lot of the plans. So that kind of gives us about a year buy-in, before we really need to start thinking about the traveling. So that really has built in a cushion for us.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
So you may never see us in person. It may just be a series of cold call emails from Marsha from here on. Any other thoughts, questions? Those were a couple of good ones, but I'm the Associate Dean for Research for my college. And so I sit in these research continuity meetings once a week with the Office of the Vice President of Research. And so I've become very well versed on what the travel restriction and exemption policy is at Florida State at the moment.
Aloha, Marsha. I just have a quick question. First of all, this is a great project. I'm really excited about it, and I can't wait to see what comes out of it. What can we do for you? I guess I'd like to know, are there things, more support that we could provide, or is there support from the other states that you need as you move along? Just want to be prepared to help support you.
Well, so for partners, we'll be in touch individually because we have some logistics that we need to settle with you, getting contracts, subaward stuff in place, things like that. And then there are specific statements of work that we'll have for each one. But one of the things that we really were excited for COSLA to join us for a couple of reasons. First of all, we love our state librarian passionately. She is so supportive of this particular project and basically anything we want to do because her heart is in the Panhandle with the librarians, and she is always looking for ways she can support those communities better. But more than that, because she's active in your group and because your group is so strong on advocacy and outreach, we will be participating in some of your meetings and bringing the findings from this study to other state librarians. And when we do that, then we can have a really meaningful conversation about the best ways to translate this work into things that would be helpful in other states. And so we really see you and the COSLA members is very key parts of our transferability and scalability. And that was one reason why we wanted you as advisors as well as partners.
Great, thank you. Well, we're here to support you. Thank you.
Yeah. But in the meantime, just sit tight. Everybody's got a lot of work to do. Anything else? That was a great question. Thank you, Stacy. Well, if there's nothing further, everyone, I wanted to make sure that you had our contact information, and I can't really tell you how grateful we are for your being willing to be part of this important work, for making yourself available on such short notice. Please be looking for periodic emails from us, and don't hesitate to get in touch if we can help you in any way. As I said, we are reconfiguring some of what we're doing, and then also preparing to get a survey out the door. So and to get GIS analyses underway. So we will be in touch soon, and you're welcome to refer to that 2-page handout. If you didn't get it, I'm happy to resend it, and we'll keep you updated. But you'll hear from us again, I guarantee it.
Thank
so
you.
With that, everybody, I'm gonna adjourn the meeting.
Okay, thank you, guys. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.
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 Hey, Marcia,
Yes?
I just wanted to apologize in front of everyone who's still here. I was playing Boogeyman in the back thinking I was looking at the Google Docs, and I was expanding to see and here it is moving all of your slides around. I'm like, oh no!
Oh, I knew, because there was an F following everything that was happening. Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
I think we're all friends here. So.
Sounds good. Bye.
All right. See you later.